was July 8th, 2022, I believe is the year. I want to talk about something I feel very strongly about. I've felt very strongly about this subject for at least 20 years now. That's how long this has been going on. Site enhancement oil. We call it Synthol, but that's sort of a catch-all term. That was the most popular brand that came out first. It's kind of like we call all diapers Pampers or all facial tissues Kleenex. That's just the top-selling brand, and that somehow became the name that we referred to that type of product as, even though that's technically not it. So Synthol. Synthol is an oil. Typically, it's MCT oil, which I believe is made from coconuts somehow. Sterilized, hopefully, and also usually comes mixed with something like lidocaine, which is a painkiller. It's because the injections are so painful. Synthol has to be injected deep into the muscle. So why do I think it's cheating? Because, it's open bodybuilding. Steroids are used, insulin, growth hormone, peptides, thyroid drugs, asthma drugs, freaking DNP. What's that, like bug spray? Everything. So if anything goes, why can I come against, why have I have an issue with Synthol? Synthol to me is an implant. Steroids, all these other things, steroids, you have to work to build the muscle. Yes, you're going to get a lot more muscle with steroids than you are without steroids, but you're still going to have to work. There are some of you out there who believe that you can just sit, do nothing, inject steroids, and you'll get huge. Because there have been studies with the elderly. These were not studies with like young, healthy people. Studies with the elderly where just in giving them, I think it was like 600 milligrams a test. It was a pretty high dose weekly. They did gain muscle tissue even without any exercise at all, no resistance training. But Synthol to me is an implant. So calf implants are illegal. If someone shows up on a stage with these stupid looking calf implants or pec implants, anything that's very obvious, they're disqualified. If they're not disqualified, they're going to be placed dead last. Synthol, site enhancement oil. I know the argument, like Nick Strength and Power said, 7 out of the top 10 in the Mr. Olympia are using Synthol. He believes it's the top 7, and the only 3 that aren't using it are in the bottom 3. I don't know if he was implying that you're using Synthol gives you the extra edge. Obviously, it volumizes the muscle, and when used quote unquote correctly, it doesn't give you that lumpy, bumpy, stupid, distorted shape that you see like in the thumbnail with some of these people who've gone way overboard, a lot of them from Brazil. But then there was that Russian kid too. There's a lot of them who've gone way too far because they're mentally ill. More mentally ill than your average bodybuilder. I think we all have a little bit of that. Something wrong with us to do what we do, to be so obsessed with our appearance. But Synthol to me is an implant. So, I'm talking about competitive bodybuilding, why it's cheating. If you're just some dude that wants to walk around and look huge, and you're going to do it by injecting a bunch of oil, whatever, you're free to do anything you want as an adult, especially in the USA. If you want to get horns implanted in your head, look like the devil, you can do that. If you want to get an operation so you look like a cat, you can do that. You can do anything legally. Nobody cares. But when we're talking about competition, to me, that does give you an unfair advantage because that's muscle that it's not muscle, it's literally just oil deep inside a muscle. And you're pretending that that's extra muscle mass. So implants, regular implants like a calf implant or a pec implant, or I have even seen arm implants. No, I didn't get any. Probably should have, right? Like I remember Lee Apperson years ago. He was a master's. He turned pro as a master's. Great looking guy, lifeguard, all this. But he got toward the end of his career when he turned pro. He did a couple pro shows, and he had these really obvious bicep and tricep implants because, like me, his arms just never grew. He had great legs, shit arms. I wonder if we're related somehow way back. But yeah, he was placed very, very low. I don't think he was going to do that well anyway. But I'm saying it's when it's obvious like that. So, why is it cheating? I know we're going to get into the argument because I want to see if any of you can change my mind. Maybe you can. Because like if somebody put a rubber muscle suit on, completely fake, just 110-pound guy puts on a suit so looks like Big Ramy, you wouldn't stand for that. You wouldn't say, okay, that's fine. You can compete like that. Nobody would tolerate that. To me, Synthol, it's fake. It's not a muscle. It's just a bunch of crap inside the muscle making it look bigger. All right, so I know some of you guys have arguments, and that's why we're here. That's why I did the video. I want to hear what you got to say. So some of you will agree with me. Some of you will say, Ron, Synthol's awesome. Everybody should be using Synthol. Painless Pump is the same, Coach. Yeah, Hemo Hashish. Hashish, is that your real last name? Painless Pump was actually, I think that was the brand name of the first Synthol product. I wish I could remember. It was a German guy that invented it. I can't remember it, but that was way back in like the mid 90s. Painless Pump. Pump and Pose was another brand name. I think there was one called Synthol. I know I should remember this, but it was a long time. We're talking like 25 plus years ago. Synthol, and that became like the brand name, or the name everyone referred to that SEO, site enhancement oil, as Synthol. J-Dog, hi from the mail route, Ron. Thanks for delivering the mail. Like my late dad, he did it in 90 degrees. He did it in -9 degrees. He did it all kinds of weather. Hemo, please, Coach, we need to know about Painless Pump because some people say it's the same Synthol. I don't know if it is. If it's all these products, these site enhancement oils, are typically just MCT oil, hopefully sterilized, but you never know. You're not getting this from a pharmacy. You don't know if it's sterile. And usually like a painkiller, like a lidocaine in there too. But I'm trying to talk you out of using Synthol, and it sounds like you want to get some Synthol. Anti-Synthol, say it ain't so, because it's famous now at UAE, United Arab Emirates. That's rough, Hemo. I hate hearing that. I don't like to hear that Synthol is like on the upswing. Raymond Jones, Synthol is like a good tan. It helps to accentuate the muscle you already have. No, come on. That's a silly argument. A tan that's just painting over the actual muscle. This is something that's inflating the muscle. It's making the muscle look a lot bigger than it really is. So, in the old days before Synthol, a lot of the 90s guys, they used these temporary inflammatory agents. Trigilidis did a video talking about it not that long ago. The biggest one was Esacline. Esacline was very widely used in the pro ranks back in the 90s. And then it was followed up after that by something called Nolotol. Good tan. The German guy had Synthol. Yeah, what the hell was his name? It wasn't Manfred. But I remember one of the first Synthol arms I ever saw, there was a strong man called Manfred Herbal. I think that's how you pronounce it. It was H-O-U-B. Anyway, Manfred, big dude. So I was sitting across from him going from LA to Columbus for the Arnold Classic. It was either 95 or 96, one of those 2 years, 1995. And he was one of the first guys that had the big, stupid, fake Synthol arms, which it didn't help him for strongman, but it made him more popular because people assumed it was real muscle. And they're like, wow, look at the arms on this guy. And I'm looking at the arms, he's literally, I'm on the aisle and he's on the aisle seat just across from me. So we're this far apart. And I'm looking at the arm and saying, the shape just does not look right. That doesn't look like an arm. Like the bicep was looking flexed all the time, even though it was hanging straight down. It just didn't look right. And that was the first Synthol abuser I ever saw. Hemo Hashish, and yes, Hashish, my last name. I smoked hash once. I think I was a senior in high school. Don't recall it being anything special. Raymond Jones, did Nasser use Synthol? I don't know, but I'm guessing he did. If he didn't use Synthol, he probably used Esacline, which was a very temporary version of it. It was an inflammatory agent. They would inject into the muscle would swell up, but it didn't change the definition, and it didn't change the shape of the muscle. So it was like ideal. They stopped making that years and years ago. I never even saw it in real life. CV, most pros use some Synthol. Maybe. I mean, how do we know? How would we know? Not too many of them are open about it. They're not going to say, yeah, I'm using Synthol. Jay Cutler used Esacline. Yeah, they all did back then. They all did. He looks amazing. I can't understand why they assumed Synthol. He's talking about the guy in the thumbnail. Asmodeus Valhalla. Everyone used Esacline at that time. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I wish I'd tried it, honestly, just to see what it would like, but it's been long gone. And I was like, in the 90s, I was natural up until very end of 96. So even if someone had given me some for free, I would have been like, oh, get that crap away from me. That's a steroid. It wasn't a steroid. But I was so anti-drug back then. Yeah. Asmodeus says they used it before stage to inflame the muscle. I don't know if they were doing it actually backstage, but they were doing it like the night before the show or the morning of the show in their hotel room. Marcus Rude. Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of people saying, I walked in on so-and-so, I don't know if it was NASA or whoever, and there was like needles and blood all over the place because they had just injected like every muscle group with Esacline. So Synthol is a lot more, it's a lot more work. It's a lot of injections. Like I had a buddy years ago. This is probably about 6-7 years ago now. He wanted to try Synthol. I wasn't going to do it, but he needed my help because he could not He couldn't do it himself. He was putting, before every workout, 3 cc's of this crap in his triceps. I don't think he was doing his biceps, but he had me do it for him. And I did it for him. And the pain this guy was going through. And he did it for like a month. I think his arms only increased in size by about an inch and a half. It takes a lot of oil constantly, and then you got to keep it up. It's like it's this regimen you got to keep up all the time if you want to keep that fake ass size. So Justin Bass, even if everyone in Olympia lineup is using it, doesn't mean it's not wrong. It's still wrong. 15 wrongs on stage don't make it right. And then Keek Bake, is Synthol same as silicone? What people get implanted in clinic? No. There's something else, PMAA, which the late Rich Piano, that's what a lot of people thought he had in his shoulders and his arms, which is tiny. I think they were very tiny silicone balls, like tiny. Like a doctor could fill a syringe with all these tiny balls and inject them, and it supposedly gave a more lasting effect. You didn't have to keep injecting it constantly, like every day, the way you do Synthol to keep it up. J-Dog, I was self-righteous natty. Oh, dude, I was the worst. I was holier than thou. I was like, I'm never using steroids. I was so I worked, I was working in the industry with people on steroids, and I did look down on them. I was very judgmental. I was an idiot in my 20s. I really was. Not that I'm a genius now, but man, looking back in my 20s, I was a know-it-all who knew nothing, pretty much. Mario Ultimate Art. Hello, Ron. Sorry, Axion. We're staying on the Synthol track. We're not talking about other subjects right now. Maybe later. Asmodeus Valhalla. Ron, do you think everyone with suspect body parts should be penalized like Hadi Delts and Rami Sweep, even if they aren't using Synthol, which is gear inflammation? You bring up an interesting point, because all that gear that's injected has to go somewhere. If you're at that level where you're injecting grams of gear a week, that's a lot of cc's of oil. Where's it going to go? You can't put it all in your glutes. Your glutes would be like inflamed and swollen. You'd have to rotate. So people do like their delts. I've always stuck to the delts and the glutes. Lately, it's just been all glutes again. But some people will put it like in the lats or quads. Quads is a bad idea, guys. It's so easy to hit a nerve or just get this horrible post-injection pain that lasts for days, or like you're limping. I'll never shoot my quads again, ever, ever, ever. I've had bad experiences doing that. But yeah, that's the thing, like with Hadi. Maybe that's just regular gear. I don't know, because it has the same effect. If you guys have ever done a shot like in your shoulder and it swells up and it's, red and swollen, it looks horrible. It's embarrassing, but you gotta, the gear has to go somewhere. And unfortunately, sometimes it's going to leave a lump. Sometimes it's going to look pretty obvious that you pinned yourself. Sometimes it'll be a bruise. You don't want to walk around a tank top when you have something like that. It's embarrassing. Osmodeus again. Ron, did you ever inject any gear in your calves? If so, how'd that go? No, that's one. I heard early on from a few people, one place you never ever want to stick a needle into is your calf. Especially like a gear needle. We're talking like an inch to inch and a half, typically the length of them. There's so many nerve endings. It's such dense muscle fiber. The pain would be excruciating. And, the post-injection pain, the soreness, you probably wouldn't be able to walk on that leg for a while in a lot of cases. I've heard people tell me. I think it was Flex Wheeler said, stay away from your calves years ago. Cookies. Hairy balls. Mario Ultimate Art. Question, is eating cookies and biscuits bad for the muscle growth? Yeah, why would you want to eat crap food? Eat good food. Quality food for quality gains. On topic, guys. We're talking about Synthol here. Simon, Esicline is more acceptable. Surely it's also cheating on Synthol. Yeah, but it's long gone. They stopped making it like 20 years ago, so nobody's using Esicline unless some mad scientist out there is formulating it in the underground. I haven't heard about it in years, like 20 years. So I'm surprised that someone didn't start making it on the underground, because it seems like a lot safer and a lot more visually acceptable. The muscle still looks normal. It still has the detail and the shape isn't changed. So I'm really surprised that somebody didn't come out with like a copycat version of it, a clone of Esicline, counterfeit. Yeah. Mario Ultimate. As far as Synthol, I don't like it. If anyone's using it, it should be banned from competing. Yeah. See, the thing is what people will tell you is everyone's using it, or most guys are using it. I don't think if anyone says everyone's using it, that I would never believe that, because I mean, I know people I've talked to and they've told me flat out I never use Synthol. They never had to. Some of these people had so much muscle size and fullness. What's the point? It's like if you're someone who's, I'm going to use a stupid example, but that DNP that I'm always going on, I hate DNP. It's so dangerous, potentially dangerous. If you're someone who's super shredded and you get super shredded easily, why would you take a chance with a very dangerous drug to get shredded? So if someone has huge, full, round muscles, why would they put anything else in there? I know Flex Wheeler did toward the end of his career because he was chasing Ronnie Coleman, who was Ronnie Coleman. You know, so he was trying to out Ronnie. He was trying to be bigger and badder than Ronnie, and it didn't look right. His shoulders and his arms toward the very end were just, and he didn't have weird shapes to him, but it was clear that something was going on. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's what they say to me. D Shore, did you ever hear Flex Wheeler had calf implants or some kind of oil? I don't believe he had implants. I think he was shooting them up with Essaclean or something. I don't believe he had implants. I remember there was a controversy because Sean Ray firmly believed he had implants, and I think they were on a European tour or something. He pressured Wayne D'Amelia into making Flex Wheeler go to a local hospital emergency room and have them x-rayed. And I'm pretty sure they didn't find any implants in the x-ray. Someone who knows that story better or could look it up. Synthol's and cheating. Most people. This message is held for review, but I'm going to read it from S. McG. I know why Synthol's and cheating, because people look like shit when they use it. See, that's what people will say, though, is if it's used correctly, moderately, and you don't get that crazy, stupid, exaggerated look, then it's fine. But a lot of people do go overboard. Not too many competitors, you'll notice. You don't see too many people on stage. I'm going to give a quick example. There's a guy named Jerry Blaze. I like Jerry a lot. He's a good dude. But Jerry went crazy with something in his arm, Synthol or some other brand name, some sort of site enhancement oil. The first year I moved back to Boston, he won the New England. So that was, I came back in fall of 2000. I went back then, we only had one show a year. The New England was in May. May of 2001, he won light heavyweight and overall. He looked awesome. Couple years later, he comes back. He was a light heavyweight. He's like 5'5". Couple years later, he comes back a light heavyweight again, same body, but now he's got these like 24-inch arms that look ridiculous. Guess what? Last call out, and he was so upset, so angry. He's like, oh, he was trying to deny it up and down that he had anything in his arms, whatever. But you know, we're not stupid. We're not stupid. We can see big lumpy, like the guy in the thumbnail. Would anyone in their right mind? I've seen people like make comments on pictures like that on social media, like steroids. Like they think that's what steroids can make you look like. They don't realize the human body can't look like that. I don't care how many steroids are used. That's a bunch of freaking, I think down there they use like vitamin A oil, some freaking vitamin oil. They don't even use Synthol because especially a lot of these guys are broke down there that are doing this. Like that guy in the thumbnail, I saw him on documentary. He's like broke as a joke. He's like a day laborer. Lives with his mom. He's like probably like 50 years old now. Anyway, how was I going with that? I don't even know. Alan Heike, I agree Synthol is cheating. See, you're smart because you agree with me. Asmodeus, again, with gear knotting up below the muscle over time, it'll get so dense and tight you actually have to cut out the scar tissue. That has happened. I mean, I have, like in my glutes, I've shot my glutes probably thousands of times now. I have hard lumps of scarred tissue in there. The only way those are ever going to go is someone goes in there with a scalpel, a surgeon, and cuts all that shit out. But yeah, scar tissue, because every time you stick a needle into a muscle, no matter what you're injecting, it doesn't matter. Anytime you stick a needle into a muscle, scar tissue forms around where that needle was. So the bigger needle you use, like a larger gauge, and the smaller the number, like an 18 gauge needle is huge. That's like what the old Sustanon preloads used to have. An insulin pin is very thin. That's like a 30 gauge. So those leave a very small hole in your skin and very small amount of scar tissue. But if you're a bodybuilder constantly using, 25 gauge or 23 gauge, over time, more and more scar tissue keeps building up in the spots you injected. And you'll notice sometimes, like, I remember one time I was pinning my own delts, and of course I'm always doing the same exact spot because I got these little short T-Rex arms. So I was getting a pretty bad lump, and at that point I had to really go to the wife and say, can you help me out here? She wasn't too happy about Asmodeus, again, some people with suspect body parts demonstrations could just be scar tissue in the muscle. Not sure what they do about that. No, I mean, if it's deep in the muscle, it wouldn't affect that. It's, you know, if they're injecting their gear too close, like that's another thing I don't like about people saying, oh, why can't people, a lot of people like to use insulin pins, real small gauge, short pins for their regular gear, which I don't know. To me, that's ridiculous. It's a lot of work. But you're not going far enough into the muscle, so I think the scar tissue that's formed is too close to the surface of the skin, so you would lose some definition over time from all the scar tissue. Mario Ultimate Art. Greg Valentino, the king of synthol. Yeah, he said he did all regular gear in his arms. Mario Ronald was eating cookie while I was asking you to put that cookie down. Now, I mean, if you're trying to gain, I don't want to get off topic. I want to stay on the synthol thing. But if you're trying to gain good quality lean muscle tissue, you know, eat the least amount of junk as possible. You should be eating chicken, eggs, fish, steak, turkey, whey protein, rice, potatoes, oatmeal, vegetables, fruits, good food. Raymond Jones, it's not cheating if it's not banned. If it could improve your look and your competitors are using it, why wouldn't you use synthol? I was trying to find online. I know they do have in their rules, the IFBB Pro League, they do have something in there about implants and site enhancement oil. They do. It is against the rules, technically. I know. It sounds strange. I wish I could have found it so I could read that out loud to you. Who are my favorite bodybuilders over 50? Me. Haha. I mean, most of them are all retired, right? So, if you mean active competitors over 50, I couldn't name one at this point. I don't really keep track of all the Masters guys. Yeah. So cheating here. I like the stream. It's always good hearing from you, Ron. Thank you, SMG. MVP, Hadi won't win Mr. Olympia with those pointy synthol delts. Yeah, I think it's distracting, and you know he's got to get past Rami. My God, Rami's very tough to beat. You know, Hadi's about 5'4". Rami's almost 6 foot, I think. It's just tough when Hadi stands next to Rami. How do you beat a guy like that when he's that much bigger and taller and wider? It's overwhelming. Okay, so Mario says Dexter Jackson is my favorite. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go with, he's retired too, but I mean, Levroni's over 50, Flex Wheeler's over 50, Lee Haney's over 50. I mean, Dorian, these are all greats. Sean Ray, they're all over 50 now. I can't think of one that's still competing that's over 50 that I can't think of one. I know there are pro masters, believe me. I'm well aware of that. I'm not. Kamal, SMG, Kamal is obviously best active bodybuilder over 50. Okay, there you go. Thank you. I knew I was forgetting someone. Kamal El Garni from Libya, now living in Florida. He's awesome. He's going to try to get his title back, his 212 Olympia title back. He's got to get past reigning champion Derek Lunsford and Sean Clarita to do it, of course. It's going to be tough. MVP, a trained eye can see synthol and competitors it will cost them. Yeah, and the judges have trained eyes. These judges have seen thousands and thousands of physiques. You can't fool these guys. Obviously, yeah, if the synthol is done discreetly and it's deep down in the muscle and they're not going overboard, you won't know the difference, so you're not going to disqualify them. But if it looks stupid, we've seen examples of these guys going on stage where it looks stupid, you're done. Either you're disqualified or we're just going to place you last. That's the easiest thing to do is just place the guy last. You don't have to disqualify him. Just there's 20 guys on stage, you get 20th place. Congratulations. A Torres, you look amazing. Is Hidetashi over 50? There are a few Middle Eastern ones over 50. You're still at the top of the list. Haha. I believe is Hide 50 yet? I don't know. I know he's not that much younger than me, but I know he is younger than me. I'll be 53 in September. I should look it up, but he's close to 50. He hasn't competed in a while. Him and Iris Kyle run a great powerhouse gym in Las Vegas. I hope to make it out there. When I'm out for the Olympia, I want to go to Flex Lewis's Dragon's Lair, and I want to go to Hide and Iris's gym if I'm able to, if I have the time. For a new deal, it's very likely it could be scar tissue on Hadi. Yeah, I don't know that Hadi's injecting anything other than gear. But like I said, these guys have to use a lot of gear at that level, and it's a lot of oil. Where do you put it? You got to put it somewhere. You can't put it all in your glutes, or your glutes are going to be like this wide on stage. Like I remember for years and years, that's all I did was my glutes, the upper outer quadrant. And I have pictures from when I competed, and I'm hitting back shots, and you can see the friggin' the glutes in that area are just like bulging out from so much scar tissue and inflammation. Asmodeus, Hani ran about as smart. Seems like he should have had a plan about those delts last year. Hani's a brilliant man. Don't get it twisted. Hani, whatever needs to be done with Hadi Chupan, Hadi will sort it. I mean, Hani, he's at the top of his game. He's got like 30 Olympia titles to his credit now. He just started working with C-Bum, so C-Bum will win for another 1,000 years. Yeah, 1,000 years, wow. You should go to Dennis Wolf's outdoor gym too, Ron, in Vegas. I don't like outdoor gyms. Vegas is too hot, man. The year that Lunsford won the USA, 2017, it was like 115 to 120 degrees every day that I was there. I was there I think I got there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was there for 4 days. It was between 110 and 120 every day. And even at night, at like midnight, it was still like 98 degrees. It was disgustingly hot. So when I go to Vegas, I try to, especially if I'm there in the hot months. Actually, December won't be that hot, but I usually try to avoid going outside. Iris looks over 50. She's not. She's actually younger too. Massage Gun 56. Hadi Chupan's manager is posting an audio LP where Hani Rambo himself is yelling at Hadi for using Synthol. I heard about that. I haven't listened to it. So I don't know. But I'll take your word for it. Supplements gain muscle and burn fat. Creatine's good, yeah. Creatine's widely proven. Thousands of studies proved it's effective. Whey protein, creatine, a pre-workout, a post-workout shake, whey protein with some fast-acting carbs, or I just have cereal, like a cup or two of Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Puffs or something like that for my carbs with whey protein. Can you test athletes for Synthol use? No, I mean, it's just visual. You look at them, and like I said, if they've done it discreetly, you would never know. But if they've effed up and they have stupid, lumpy, misshapen body parts, you're done, dude. You're done. You're disqualified. Flex Willow calf implants. I don't think so, because I don't remember him ever having like his calves implants taken out. So I don't think he ever had them. I don't. I think he was injecting with stuff. HRs, Vegas is insane. When I go to visit powerhouses in a freaking bikini all day, all night, because I couldn't stand it. Are you a woman, HRs? Because, I mean, if you're wearing a bikini. Massage Gun. Hassan Mustafa's coming to take Nick Walker and Hunter's lunch money. This year, Bonik is also a peak. He'll get back top 3. Hassan is great. I'm so happy for Hassan that he's won those 2 shows, and he's got a couple more coming that he might win. He's going to try to win. He's going to have a lot of trouble with Nick Walker and Hunter because of structure. Hassan has a narrow structure. His clavicles, he's built so much muscle that you almost don't realize his clavicles aren't that wide. His hips aren't that narrow. He's kind of got a square torso. So when he stands there, it's not really a V. It's kind of a block, whereas Hunter's got a beautiful structure, wide clavicle, small waist, more of a V. Even Nick Walker has more of a V. So I certainly expect Hassan to be top 10, but I don't know if I don't think Nick and Hunter have to worry about him, not yet. Miss MPS Football, would you say every Mr. O competitor this year has used Synthol at least at one point? I don't think every single one. I don't know. How would you know? How would you know? You know, someone that says, I know all of them have used it. Did you interview them all, or did you get them all to tell you that in private? How would you know? How would you know? You know, Synthol didn't exist back in, up until the mid-90s. We had guys with crazy, freaky shoulders and arms and stuff back then. They weren't injected. I mean, go back to like Arnold. Arnold's arms weren't fake. There was nothing fake about Arnold's biceps, and they were freaking these monstrous, jagged peaks. Yeah. So it's possible to have big, freaky muscles without Synthol. It's been done. Thank you, Mario, saying I look great. Synthol shouldn't exist. Yeah, Supreme Court should rule against Synthol. They're wasting their time with all this other crap. Asmodeus, doesn't Synthol atrophy the muscle after some time too, and very harsh on the liver? I've heard it's the kidney that takes a really bad hit from Synthol, because the kidneys have to filter everything out. They're our body. That's our body's filter. And where's all this stuff going? It's got to leak out eventually, right? Because it's not going to stay. It's an oil. It's not an actual implant, so eventually it will dissolve. That's why Synthol you have to keep injecting, because it's not forever. It's temporary, and you have to keep it up. So, I remember the late Derek Anthony died of kidney failure. Late Boston Lloyd, kidney failure. Both of them were very heavily into Synthol SEO use. I suspect, and I'm not a doctor, obviously, I don't know, but I strongly suspect it played a role. It definitely played a role. Yeah. Let's see. Sauna is a bit blocky, yep. The German guy said his oil dissolved. I think it all dissolves eventually. It just takes a long time. It's not an implant. Nick, Massage Gun 56. Nick Walker's also blocky. Has a lot of synthol in his arms and never stride, never move. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. Hunter T, yep. If you put the synthol under the muscle, it looks normal. I mean, way under the muscle. And they can't go overboard. Sorry, Info Fitness. Gura Gaming. Gura. Bodybuilding is a sport, same way as others. It's too subjective. Someone uses synthol, looks amazing and wins Mr. O. Will he be disqualified afterwards? No, they would have disqualified him by not placing him, by not letting him win. They wouldn't disqualify him. They would just place him poorly. That's typically how it's handled when someone has this stuff and it's obvious. They don't disqualify them. It's hard to get disqualified in bodybuilding. You have to really like shove someone on stage, or you have to do something like nasty. Bodybuilding sport. Yeah, I don't call bodybuilding a sport so much as it is like it's like a beauty pageant with muscles. It's judged very much the way a beauty pageant is judged, in the eye of the beholder, subjectively. Let's see. XP Gamer, NASA started the synthol trend. Now all these Middle Eastern bodybuilders are following him. Nah, I don't know if he started it, but I mean, synthol's been used for a very long time. I don't think we can blame NASA. Nick and Hunter will be top 6. Yeah, I mean, they were top 5, 4, and 5 last year. What's your opinion on Fouad versus Bob Chick? I have no opinion. No opinion. It's like Alien versus Predator, basically. Arnold got calf implants? No, I don't think so, J-Dog. I don't think so. Barbells, dumbbell. That's it, Ron. I'm running keto and lost 30 pounds so far. I'm stagnant at 192 and advice how to break the plateau. My goal is low 180s. Yeah, I mean, have a refeed day, or you have to do more cardio or eat less. And when you're stuck, you got to do something different. Abhijit Nanda, those muscles are not legit. Is of no use. Agree. Massage Gun 56. Ron, have you used SEO? No. And I was a prime candidate because I'll be arrogant and say it. My arms were the only thing that kept me from turning pro. I was never an awesome bodybuilder, but there are people that the only reason they beat me in a lot of shows was because they had better arms than me. Honest to God. I mean, I had shoulders, chest, back, quads, hams, calves. Biceps weren't bad. They were okay. It's my triceps that sucked ass. They just sucked. So I would have been someone who could have benefited from synthol. And I'll tell this real quick. The late Matt Porter, God rest his soul, who he put a lot of stuff in his arms. We had a private conversation that I wish I had screen captured or something on AOL Messenger a year or two before he died. And he said synthol wouldn't even help me, because this is the arm, this is the non-existent tricep. It was torn and it retracted all the way up, and I never got it fixed because I didn't know it was torn until I tore the other tricep head years later. Anyway, long story short, there's not enough space to put the synthol in where it would make any difference. The tricep is just way too high up. So I'm effed. So no, I never used SEO. Never touched it. Plenty of steroids. I've used plenty of steroids, but never touched SEO. Gura Gaming, now I'm saying good synthol use is when you can't see it. If you're saying it's cheating, it's kind of hard for me to grasp that. I know, it's a conundrum. How is it cheating if you can't tell? I'm not suggesting that I'm saying they stop people. They bust them when it's obvious. When it's not obvious, you wouldn't know the difference, right? So I'm just saying it's cheating and people should feel bad. I don't see the need for it. These guys are genetic freaks. They build muscle very, very easily. They build up big arms, big shoulders, they don't need synthol. They don't. Maybe it makes the muscle a little bit fuller, but these guys are freaking specimens anyway. They don't need it. Oh, no. More training questions? No. My quads. Thank you, Abhijit Nanda. My quads are, yeah. Where am I? Massage Gun. Flexible is filled to the gill with synthol. Yeah, he was injected. Toward the very end, he was putting all kinds of shit in his shoulders and his arms, for sure. Mario. Bodybuilding sport, if you do it naturally and for health benefits, not for competition. It's still not a sport because it's judged like a pageant, but natural bodybuilding is very healthy. Very healthy. You're eating healthy food, you're training, you're not putting any dangerous drugs in your body. Natural bodybuilding is very healthy. Enhanced bodybuilding, not healthy. Not at all. Never said it was. Bulking plateaus, no. That's a whole other, we're talking about Synthol, Asmodeus, sorry, I'm sorry. But throwing up a couple of times a week is not normal, no. If you feel yourself starting to get anywhere near nauseous, you should stop eating at that point, because you're just going to throw it up anyway. XP Gamer, I agree Synthol usage should be instant disqualification. Dorian didn't have good arms. He could have used Synthol, but he didn't. Something that adds 1 or 2 inches on your arms instantly is cheating. Yeah, he was very much against it. Yeah, I mean, Dorian, his arms weren't great. Certain shots, his side tricep was very impressive. I think his arms looked good. They just didn't, they weren't like, wow, those are some awesome arms. You know, he was up against people like, you know, Flex Wheeler, Levroni. Some of the people he was up against, Ronnie, they just had crazy, crazy arms. So compared to them, his arms weren't great. You know, if you just saw Dorian by himself, you're like, wow, those arms are pretty damn great. Can you explain a brief history of Synthol SEO in the 90s from the Elite Pros? No, I don't know when they started using it. In the 90s, it was more Esiclean. Synthol itself started being used in the mid-90s. I don't know when the pros started, probably around the same time. You know, anyone that claims they know all about this stuff, they're talking out of their ass. Like people would say, I know what all the pros use. You don't know what all the pros use. Have you talked in confidence to every single pro and they trusted you and gave up all their secrets to you? Come on, dude. Come on. Don't be ridiculous. Let's see. Massage gun. Jay Cutler had a ton of Synthol arms as well. Never moved, never strided. I don't know if he did or not, but I agree that he didn't have much detail in his arms at all. That was like one of the things I didn't like about Jay's physique. I loved his legs, shoulders, just such a wide frame and everything. I never liked his arms because they didn't have a lot of separation and detail. Like his legs had all kinds of crazy little hatch striations, splits, grooves, and the arms, nothing like that. They were nothing like that. Let's see. Alpha Man Gaming, if SEO is allowed, then should implants? Can't tell the difference, right? Well, implants are always pretty obvious. Like I've seen a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I've seen people with calf implants. They always, to me, I can spot them. They always look fake. I don't know why they can't make natural looking calf implants, because they make pretty natural breast implants now. Pec implants, I've seen some guys with pec implants, never looks anatomically correct. Again, I don't know why it's so hard to make a fake pec or a fake calf. It shouldn't be that hard. Question around, how do you train lightweights, high reps, or heavyweights, low reps? Both. I like a wide range of rep ranges. 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15, sometimes 15 to 20. But when you're starting out, you should be trying to get stronger in like the 10 rep range, right around 10 in the first year or so. It's probably your best bet. Barbell dumbbell. That's it. Synthol and how Chupan looks amazing. It's a very good bodybuilder no matter what, yeah. Chupan should, Harry Balls. Chupan should go to Classic against C-Bum. Hadi would have to drop like 50 pounds of muscle to make the Classic weight. C-Bum. I thought you did an interview with that German guy. Not the guy, I've interviewed people from Germany. I've never interviewed the inventor of Synthol. Oh, what the hell was his name? Oh. Yeah, I can't remember his name. But yeah, he invented Synthol. Paul Clark? Doesn't sound like a very German name, but I think his name was Paul Clark. That sounds right. No, I never interviewed him. Do you think Justin Rodriguez, XP Gamer, do you think Justin Rodriguez using some kind of oil of Synthol on his shoulders? They're pretty suspicious. I don't know. They don't look right to me. Sometimes they look more fake looking than others, so I don't know. I don't know if that's just regular gear, but there's something. His shoulders are like way too big and round and wide. I'm sure he has great shoulders anyway, but then he's either putting his regular gear in there or something else and taking it beyond what looks remotely real. Renault, did Rich Piana take the SEUs way too far? I think he did, but he wasn't competing. He was a character. He liked to be larger than life, and he was. He had these, I've stood next to him many times. I never met the guy. I feel awful about it now, but his arms were like 25, 26 inches. They were fake. They had all, I believe it was that PMA A stuff. There was something in them because Rich competed as a bodybuilder for years, long before that, before he got all the tattoos and the shoulders and arms. Look up Rich Piana competition on a Google image search, and you'll see what he looked like. He had good arms. They were nothing like the way they looked eventually. And he was like competing as a like 260-pound super heavyweight. He was a big dude, but he didn't have these crazy freaky arms. That was injected. That was something artificial that made them look like that. Lightweight, baby. What caused the bodybuilder to peak too soon before a show? He started dieting too soon. I don't know. Opinion on Larry Wheels potentially competing in classic physique. He would never make the weight. He would have to drop a ton of muscle. I don't think these people that make these comments, I don't think they realize what the weight caps are and how light they would have to be. Renaud, do you think Big Ramy used SEOs or gear in his quads at one point and blurred his outer sweep? Maybe. Like I said, he might have just been putting a lot of regular gear there because, you know, you take a lot of oil, you inject a lot of oil as part of your regimen. It's all got to go somewhere. So who knows? Asmodeus again. Overly capped delts like Justin's hotties always look suspicious and stand out strange and not flowing well. Not sure why guys feel the need to jimmy up the delts specifically. It goes back to, you know, we use these phrases like the shoulders can never be too big and round because the bigger and the wider your shoulders and your upper back, you know, the better your V taper is going to be. So people want a really exaggerated taper, so they put shit in their shoulders. Giovanni Zedu. Wow, that's a long one. Hey, Ron, implants will never look right because natural muscles flex, breast tissue doesn't. There's a good point. Good point, yeah. You'd think they'd be able to figure out a way to like make them in segments so that they look like they were flexing. I mean, dude, the technology's come so far in so many areas. You'd think it'd be possible. And he continues, Giovanni Zedu. Even if it looks okay in one position, any muscle implant, calf, pec, whatever, cannot look natural in all positions and all degrees of flexion. I agree. Ivan Arcega, most all pros use enhanced site oils. How would we know that? How do we know that though? I mean, we know they all use steroids. Most of them use insulin. Most if not all of them use growth hormone. Why would we assume everyone uses synthol? Why would everyone need it? You know, I mean, nobody has a good enough physique, big enough, round enough muscles that stands by itself. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that everyone's using it. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Flex Wheelers King Synthol. Mario Ultimate Art, Larry Wills is posted on his Instagram posing asked a question, not me. No, I know. Trigilli did a video about it too. It's not. Phil Heath had SEO in his shoulders. I don't know if he did. Maybe. You're saying it like you know it as a fact. You don't know it as a fact. You know, I mean, did Kevin Leveroni go back to before Synthol existed? Guys had big shoulders. There were guys with big shoulders that were round and capped. It's possible, just because we're mere mortals and we can't look like that. It's hard to wrap your head around sometimes. Asmodeus, did Milos regret Synthol? Oh, that's his biggest regret. Milos said he destroyed his career with Synthol when he put it in his arms. He almost died. It went into his lung. Yeah, that's Milos' biggest regret is using his Synthol for his arms. He spoke about it many times. Renaud, can Ian Vellier jimmy up his triceps to get more of a horseshoe shape there? I don't know. Maybe he'll try. I don't know. Asmodeus again, even regular normal gear and inflammation should be penalized because it's a bodybuilding contest. Doesn't make the physique look good. Just rotate sites more, guys. In fact, Iris Kyle, who won 10 Olympia titles and I don't know how many Ms. International, 6, 7, 8. One year she showed up at the Ms. International. This was held with the Arnold Classic for many years. She had a big lump on her glute. It was red and swollen. I'm 100% sure it was just a bad shot that got inflamed. And physique-wise, she should have won that show, hands down. But they ended up putting her in like third or fourth, and that was the only reason why. Guarantee you, because she had this big red lump on her butt, and it's embarrassing because we all know everyone's on drugs, but we don't want it to be obvious. We don't want to look at someone and say, "Oh, they injected that." We don't want to see that. We're trying to keep that we're trying to ignore that. We're trying to sweep it under the rug. Oh man. Let's see. Yeah, he said he regretted on Dennis Jean's part. Milos has said it in many, many interviews. Many interviews he's talked about that. Flex Will is the only pro to look great, even with Synthol usage. He did it so professionally. I think he had someone, I don't know if it was a doctor yet. I believe he had someone doing it for him that was really good at it. They knew the exact angles, how deep to go. They did it in such a way that it didn't distort the shape of the muscle or cause him to lose definition. But then this guy, Massage Gun, says Flex will look horrible with Synthol. And so did he look great or did he look horrible? Different opinions. Renaud, how many weeks out should a responsible bodybuilder take his last shots and switch to orals only? 6 to 4 weeks? No. That's, you don't want to be on orals for that long. Usually people stop the injections about 2 weeks out, usually. And, you know, if they're taking, and even toward the end, I think they're trying to put them in areas like, it's going to be under the posing suit or whatever, so you won't see it. You don't want to be pinning you don't want to have like a big red inflamed pin mark injection site on stage, obviously. I think that's why Flex lost his leg. I don't know about that. Alpha Mind Gaming. Milos made a video a couple days ago at Synthol again. He did state that he did not regret Synthol use. Well, I've talked to him many times about it, and he does regret it. He says it ruined his physique. So, it looked fake. I mean, I've talked to him. Where are we at? Milos made a video. Kevin Levroni of Synthol's triceps. I don't think he did. He just had great triceps. I mean, let's go back to... There have been guys like... just massive guys, you know. They're huge. Like Vic Richards, who is not the late Vic Richards. He is alive and well, apparently. That guy was so huge. Such big, thick, round, full muscles. And that was in the 80s. There was no Synthol back then. That was just his genetics, training, and gear. It's some people have that luck. They were born that way. Baby, I was born this way. I was sweating. Yeah, you know what? I don't turn the fan on up here. The vent in this room doesn't work that great for the AC. It's about 90 degrees out. It's about 90 degrees out, so it's probably about a good 80, 85 right here in my office. I'm on the top floor of the house. It's got 4 floors, and the heat rises, as you know. I do have central air conditioning, and the rest of the house is nice and cool. My office, where I spend so many of my waking hours, no, I have a fan over there, but I don't want you to hear the fan going blasting. Mark, I have a hard time believing guys like Coleman or Yates ever used Synthol. They were both freaky condition separated. I don't think Ronnie or Dorian ever touched Synthol, personally. I don't believe they ever did. Ronnie didn't need to. Ronnie had freaking... Look at Ronnie when he was like just starting out competing. He had like 22-inch arms, huge peak biceps. What the hell would Ronnie need Synthol for? He was already a freakazoid. Paul Ladd, crazy huge triceps too, like Kevin. Paul's best body part was his shoulders. They were just crazy. And I don't think that was Synthol. I think he was just genetically blessed. His shoulders were like the size of a... what kind of melon's like this big? I don't know. It was pretty big. They were like the size of his head. He had a pretty small head for his body. But man, he had some delts on him. Steve Stokes, Phil Heath's shoulder just exploded every year from the beginning of career until he sort of managed to not be so narrow as he began. Is it Clen Tren Sweat? I'm not on Tren at all right now. The Clen, I have been doing Clen, but I do it like 2 days on, 2 days off. Today I didn't take it. This is sweat from 85 degrees in my office. It's freaking hot. It's humid, hot and humid out here in the Boston area. I mean, it's July. I could put the fan on and stop sweating, but then you'd hear the fan. You'd have a hard time hearing me. God forbid. Haha, Vic Richards death hoax. Yeah, that was part of it. 4 floors. Yeah, it's 4-floor house, but it's not like it's not a huge house. It's just, there's the basement, the finished basement we have. There's a level with the kitchen and the little living room. There's bedroom, workout room, bathroom. There's another bathroom in the basement. And the top floor is the master bedroom over there and my office over here. So it's not a huge house. I don't know why they built it so many damn floors. It's a lot of stairs, so I get my cardio in every day just going up and down all these freaking stairs in this house. Ronnie Coleman's a genetic freak, absolutely. Ron, do you agree? Gyno should be penalized? It is, typically. If someone's got really bad gyno, they typically do score them down. They won't... You don't see too many people winning contests with gyno. It's unsightly. It just looks... It's another reminder that the drugs, these steroids are being used. We know we know all these drugs are being used, but we don't like it to be obvious. We don't want it to be in your face. We don't want to be reminded about it. I know, it's pretty hypocritical. I'm sweating. It's hot as hell. Yeah, man. Any good cost-effective sups? I mean, creatine's cheap if you can find it. Whey protein's fairly cheap. Those are both very, very effective. Because too hot. Ronnie, I'll say train arms every day, at least some capacity. No, I don't think Ronnie didn't train his arms that much. He didn't have to. They grew like crazy. Gura Game, I think open bodybuilding will die out eventually. Synthol, drug abuse, and mass over form has destroyed it. Classic is the future. They just need to update the weight caps. I did a video last week saying, do not update the weight caps. Leave them alone. Because otherwise the guys are going to get bigger and bigger, and then there's Classic is turned into bodybuilding. What's the point? Yeah. You can watch that whole video. We had a whole discussion about that. Bigger than mine. Ron, any chance you know why the guys from the 80s, 90s, that's good physiques, certain PEDs that provoked that look are no longer available? Well, they had better drugs back then. I mean, they had pharmaceutical grade drugs, and pretty much everyone now is dealing with this underground crap. We don't know where it's made, how potent it is. There's that Royd test kit that tells you what the drug is. So that way, if you're taking Primobolan and you thought it was Primobolan, you can get tested and find out, oh, it's just testosterone. They were ripping me off. But it doesn't tell you the potency. So your bottle might say 200 mg per mil of tescipionate. Could be 50 or 100. How would you know? There's no way to know. Don't be so modest, Ron. I saw you sitting in that red Ferrari. That wasn't my Ferrari. That was my son-in-law worked in the exotic car business. He's actually just opened up another company in Florida. He was always bringing home these ridiculous cars, $100,000 to $300,000 cars that he would just take for a day or two. Ronnie won with obvious kind of, Guys, he's missed a lot of the chat. Do you say anything about the negative parts Synthol use? Blood circulation issues, necrosis? No, our stove. I didn't, and because people, they don't care. They don't care about health risks. But yeah, there was, I think it was Discovery Channel did a documentary about Synthol use 2, 3, 4 years ago. It was probably like 4 years ago now. And it had it was mostly Brazilian guys. And one of them had to go in for surgery and have all the scar tissue taken out. It was necrotic. He had a bunch of the tissue in his arms and shoulders had died. Yeah, but that's not going to scare anybody, trust me. If people want to use Synthol or DNP or anything, nothing I say, nothing anyone says is going to deter them. Nothing bad can happen to them. It's only going to happen to someone else. They're protected by, I don't know what they think they're protected by, a divine, I don't know. J-Dog, I'll watch it. Mario, sweet to Ronnie Coleman story about Melvin Anthony overheating training. Yeah, Melvin Anthony was trying to train in Metroflex when it was like 120 degrees inside that place, and it's like an oven. I would never want to train in a gym that hot. That's ridiculous. Who won the Olympic between Ronnie and Jay around 2000 era? In between Ronnie and Jay? No, it was Ronnie won 8 years in a row, and then it was Jay, then Dexter, then Jay again, then Phil. Is that 7 Phils? Yeah. Weight caps are unfair. No, they're not. Weight caps are unfair, says Gura Gaming. Like there, Ron, if you're just under 6'1", for example, or just over, it makes a huge difference. You got to have rules. It's unfortunate that not everyone is exactly 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot. If you're a little bit under, then, you can't be as heavy as some guy might be this much taller than you, and he gets to be 10 pounds, 8 pounds heavier because, oh well. If you want to deal with no weight caps, go to open bodybuilding. Get huge. You'll never have to weigh in. They'll never check your height. Do whatever the F you want. That's why Classic is Classic. It's got a very strict system in place to keep the guys at a certain mass level so they don't get too big, because Classic's not supposed to be about being huge. Size is important, but it's also about shape, proportions, symmetry, the flow, the lines of the physique, presentation, condition. If you want to see big freaks, or if you want to be a big freak, there's open bodybuilding. Go for it. Asmodeus Valhalla. Ron, how much CC is too much CCs for one injection oil-based gear like test? I personally would not want to put more than 2 cc's of anything in at once. A lot of guys do 3 cc's. That's how much most, the standard needle pins most of us get are 3 cc's, but that's a lot of oil to push into one area. It's gonna leave it's gonna swell up. I get tests $1 per mil. I knew it. Well, that's your insurance covering it. There's nobody selling it that cheap. Bo True, my UGL guy's legit. He's only sent me bad gear once. Yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty of good underground gear out there. There's plenty of bad, but you just don't know. There's no quality control. There's no, drugs. Prescription drugs are crazy expensive because they go through a process of years and hundreds of millions of dollars tested to make sure they're effective and safe and all this, and they do what they're supposed to do, and their side effects aren't too overwhelming. But these companies that make the steroids, they're not bound to any of those rules and regulations like the FDA has, Food and Drug Administration in the U.S. Gura Gaming, I don't mean raise the weight caps, just make increase per cm instead so it's more precise. Then you're gonna have like a different weight for every centimeter. Like I already showed the thing last week. I think I threw it away. There's already like 14 different things all the way from 5'4" to 6'5" as far as weight limits. So now you're suggesting we would have like 100 or 200 different weight limits. It's just way too complicated. Nanny. Oh, God, I got to get going, guys. Do you have a low-carb day? And how many carbs? I don't have low-carb days. Rami's quads are striated and feathered in 2020. Okay. I concur with you, Sig Roland, so you're smart. In your view, has Nick Walker used synthol on his arms to get that level of size? I don't think so. Some people have these crazy genetics, and if they train hard and use gear and eat a lot of food, they get huge arms. You know? Ronnie lost 2001, came back to win 2003. No, once Ronnie lost, he didn't lose in 2001. No, Ronnie won every year from 19. He won in 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 titles. And then Jay won 4 titles. He won first three in a row. He lost. Jay Cutler is the only Mr. Olympia who's lost the title and got it back. No one else has done that yet. We'll see if Brandon Curry can pull it off this year. It would be another historical moment, obviously. It depends on what you weigh right now. Roids are also cheating. No, roids aren't cheating because you still have to do the work, and there's no rules against steroids in pro bodybuilding. Nick Walker is definitely jimming up his arms. Muscle never moves, not straight, looks rigid. Walker's arms starting to look like Rich Piana's. Oh boy, you got it. Walker Nation. You guys are not Walker Nation, are you? Bo True, you do it 4 C's when I'm on a cycle? Not all at once. I mean, first of all, you'd need like a 5cc or a 10cc syringe. I think you mean total cc's. Steve Sook, so intravenous gear alternative that people can resort to as opposed to intramuscular gear? No, you don't shoot gear into your vein. No, do not. Could go right into your lung, have a pulmonary embolism, and you're dead. Do not do that. No. God, guys, come on. The classic guys need to be hydrated in one time and only one time. Yeah, I agree with that. Nick DiPietro. Synthol is MCT oils. Gear is produced using MCT oils, so gear is cheating too then. It's an argument. Yeah. There's not much to talk about synthol. Really, the fact is growth should be not allowed. Anyone use should be penalized. Anyway, I had to go by. See you later, Mario. Thanks for joining us. That's why he's King Coleman all at once. Twice a week. Bo, you do 4. You must do like 2 cc's in like one side, 2 cc's in the other twice a week. You're not putting 4 cc's all in one spot. That'd be like a big lump of oil. A big bolus is the technical term, bolus. It's a real word. I think that person who thinks Ron lost is confusing when Ron lost to Gunter. That was not the Olympia. No, it was a GNC show of strength a week or 2 after the Olympia. Ron, do you cough when you kick a blood vessel when injecting? Is that because it goes to the lungs? I think so. It's happened to me in the past with, it's funny, it never happened from injecting a glute, only when in the delt. I don't know why. Trend cough. A lot of times, there's a reason. I'm sorry I don't know off the top of my head, but there's a reason for trend cough. There's something in trend that has a reaction that makes you cough. Because it doesn't happen with most, a shot of Deca or a shot of Test. It's typically trend. Sub-Q is easy, small amounts. Yeah, I mean, if you're using several cc's, I don't know. I just would rather go into the muscle with I use like a 5/8 needle. It's not long. It's a little more than a half inch. 4/8 would be a half inch. Sub-Q is 8 cc. We not really bolus up too much. Huh? Good to hear. All right, guys. I got to walk Branch. Branch to Buppa is my pit bull mix. Poor little guy. It's so hot. What gauge do you use, Ron? That'll be my final question. 25 gauge 5/8 would be what I use. 25 gauge 5/8 for my gear. Yeah, it leaves a smaller hole. I don't have to go that deep. It's a little more than half an inch. I used to use 1.5 inch needles for like that freaking long. That was way too long. All right, guys. So much thanks for watching. It's Friday. Take care of yourselves. I hope you get to enjoy the weekend. And that's it. I appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, leave some comments. I'll get to them. I will. I always like to see the comments. So appreciate your viewership so much, guys. Have an